get back out there this evening, try and put things right, and I think it's a good game for us on paper. Certainly, Derby are obviously struggling, come up last season, not in a good run of form, and results aren't going for them at this moment in time. So it's a big opportunity for us, and obviously with Burnley playing tomorrow, if we win this evening, we can jump above them, and it's a bit of pressure on them.
Yeah, of course, it's absolutely wide open, isn't it? Because Sheffield United and Leeds did make the most of the draw between ourselves and Burnley, but on Monday they play each other, Burnley and Leeds. So it's all very swings and roundabouts, isn't it? And it shouldn't be disheartened with a point.
No, exactly that. Yeah, they're going to take points off each other as well. It's vital, as we said there, when we're coming up against each other. Certainly don't get beat, but we've got a little bit of a cushion, looking down below us. And obviously, I think Middlesbrough play West Brom this evening. A draw is probably a good result for us there. Blackburn in and amongst it, they're playing this evening. But you've got to take care of your own result as well. So yeah, can we get the 3 points this evening? Hopefully, then results down below us take care of themselves as well. And you've got that little bit of a cushion. So yeah, perhaps when we're playing the sides in and around us, obviously we've got to go to Leeds as well. Yeah. And one or two of the sides below us, Middlesbrough as well, and West Brom. Go there and play with a little bit of freedom. It does still feel like we're playing catch up a little bit. Go back a couple of weeks, we were playing, Portsmouth was on the Sunday, so the results had happened. It was vital we picked up the points to stay with that little cluster. And nobody's really mentioned us. I'm listening to podcasts, I'm listening to, I think even Gary Lineker mentioned it the other day. Oh, it's the 3 teams up the top there. Well, hold on a minute, we're right amongst it. We're a point or two away from them. So, but I think if you ask Sunderland fans, they'd be happy if we go under the radar and we can sneak along and we're still right amongst it with 5 games to go. Yeah,
as you say, certainly benefits to going under the radar, and we'll see how long that can go on for. But of course, we want to get the 3 points on the board tonight at the same time. In terms of team news, Regis Lebris makes one change. Patrick Roberts comes out, Elisa Mayenda comes in. What do you make to that?
Yeah, I think if we can throw the graphic up and have a look at the setup there, that's going to be the interesting one. I think obviously you look at Lefay came in on Friday night, played out on the left. I think not too many expected him to play. I don't think it's his strongest position. I think he had some moments in the game. Obviously that lovely through ball for Wilson Isidore, lovely bit of skill. I've got a set up in that. I'm trying to figure it out now. You've taken Patrick Roberts out of there, so you're losing one of your natural wingers. He may go back to playing Mayenda through the middle. I think he's worked great up there as a 2 in that 4-4-2 really. So listen, Chris Rigg could end up on the right hand side, Mayenda and Isidore through the middle as a pairing. We'll get onto Derby in a minute, but their centre backs are both coming out of their side tonight, so they're having to make changes at the back. But will he go with Lefay out there? I was having a look at it today. I was thinking I'd probably go with the diamond. Play Neil, Jobe, Rigg, and then Lefay at the top of the diamond, and then you've still got your 2 strikers there, and then obviously you need Sirkin and Hume bombing on as your full-backs then, as your outlet down the wings. Whether we will, we'll have to wait and see in a minute. But yeah, we'll get onto that. We'll get onto Derby. But yeah, should we have a look back at the highlights from Turf Moor on Friday night?
Absolutely. We'll see the best of the action from Turf Moor, where Sunderland ended up travelling back to Wearside. Unfortunate to come away with a point, which not many sides say when they've visited Burnley.
No, certainly as the away side as well. Burnley have been fantastic in terms of not conceding many goals, just the 9, isn't it, so far this season? I think 4 at home. Started the better. You see Lyle Foster's had a good opportunity there, side netting on this one here for Connor Roberts. I remember saying he's actually caught that quite well on his swinger there, straight at Anthony Patterson. If he slices it, it probably flies in the far corner. But we were creating our own issues. I said there, both Trey and Dennis were slow to get going in the game. You see there, causing our own problems really. A good save from Anthony Patterson, who actually done well on the evening, made some good saves when he was called upon. It's a good save around the post there. So yeah, we were sluggish getting off the bus on Friday night, but as I said, then you go into the game, and it sort of come about really when I think it was Patrick actually. I remember saying on the comms that he was quiet. I don't remember saying his name in the first 15 minutes or so, and he just picked that little ball over for Wilson to get onto it. He probably was just offside. Flag stayed down, and he smashed it just past the angle. But this is it now. So yeah, you see, maybe not. Connor Roberts is probably a little bit deeper there, bottom of your picture. Either way, it's good skill from Wilson. He just pops it up off his fly, and good strike, but it's just past the angle. But that sort of got us into the game a little bit, because we were quiet in the opening stages. And when you're not quite at it, you've got to stay strong at the back. And to be fair to the boys, we generally defended well when we had to.
Yeah, there seems to be a bit of a settled back line at the moment as well that Regis has gone with. Chris Mepham did come off with a knock late on at Turf Moor on Friday, but he starts tonight, which is surely a relief with how well he's performed this season since he's come in from Bournemouth. Yeah,
there's a bit of worry, wasn't there? He went down, he was holding his hamstring, I think it was, wasn't it? Yeah, and you think, well, Dan Ballard come on for him for the last few minutes, so you've got a straight swap there really, haven't you? But he's been excellent for us, Chris Mepham, since he signed. So yeah, it's fantastic that it's just a little bit of a tight hamstring rather than he's pulled something there, and he's back out there this evening. Luke alongside him. And I think it's going to be vital there because we've got good cover at centre-back when everybody's fit. What I like about Luke when he plays there, and he's done it well actually in this game, I remember saying that he stepped in 2 or 3 times. That's what you've got to do. You've got to be brave, step in with the ball when you'd expect us to have a fair bit of possession this evening. And one of your centre-backs has got to commit, step into the space, draw one of the opposition players out, then you've got your little passing lanes on.
Yeah, you mentioned Enzo Lefebvre out on that left-hand side, and you wonder tonight if he's going to be a little bit more central. It could be either. We saw elements of his game and what he can bring, and there was that fantastic pass to Wilson Isidore in the second half as well. What did you make of his debut?
Yeah, that's going to pop up. This is it now. Yeah, we'll have a look at it. Yeah, so it's a lovely bit of skill and it's good vision. He gets in between centre-back and full-back, doesn't he? His first touch isn't great there, Wilson. You see there it gets away from him, but then it's a crisp strike, but unfortunately it just comes off the outside of the post. So that's when we should have known it wasn't going to be his night, to be honest. But no, he keeps getting in there, Wilson, and there'll be times in the game where he's quiet and then all of a sudden he has an opportunity out of nothing. But yeah, Lefebvre, I think if you ask him, he'll prefer to play as an 8 or a 10. Again, we'll have to wait and see how we set up this evening with Patrick coming out of the side. But no, you can see he's got a little bit about him, his touch and his movement really and stuff, but he'll be more involved and create a little bit more for us if he plays as a 10 or an 8, I think.
With the chances that Wilson Isidore had against undoubtedly the best defence in the league so far this season away from home, surely he's going to think that he might have some opportunities come his way with the creativity outlets behind him.
Yeah, and certainly this evening he'll look at it. Well, he might not know too much about Derby, but obviously the centre-half Cashin's come out. I think there's a bit of an interest from Brighton in him, the left centre-back, and obviously Nelson, who's the sort of leader back there. I think you mentioned before, Dan, he's played every minute since he's been at the club, and he's had a knee injury at the weekend, so I think his season's over. So they're having to chop and change at the heart of the defence, which has already conceded a few goals recently. So yeah, he'll come into this, and if we can get him some opportunities, get his confidence back up, because you can see at the end of the game, his body language, he was devastated that he'd obviously missed the 2 penalties, and we were just getting back on the bus with a point rather than all 3.
Yeah, so that was the penalty that Sunderland didn't get. Now we'll focus on the 2 that we did get. So this was the first. Yeah,
here's the first one there. Listen, it's tight, isn't it? It's tough to call offside. I think people have dug the ref out there. I think the linesman's got to help him out. He's looking right down the line of that, and it happens quick, to be fair. We've slowed it down, and you see by the time Wilson goes down, he's almost 10 yards in the box. He does well, I've got to get myself into the box and put the doubt in the linesman's mind that it's that side of the line, and obviously they give the penalty. Yes, it probably wasn't, but this one he goes for power. People have said, they weren't great penalties. A good penalty is one that hits the back of the net, in my opinion. That one doesn't. It's on the keeper. He gets a good strong hand to it, and you're thinking, no, 5 minutes to go. That's the big opportunity we're waiting for. But I thought even after that we reacted well. We didn't sort of mope around really. We got on with it, and we thought, what, we can get on the front foot, and here we go. You're seeing it again now. Patrick there, a bit of skill into, is it Trey Hume that's put the ball in, and it's at first you think, how's he missed that? But it's a great block actually, isn't it? Centre back there gets himself in the way, good block, and you're thinking it's certainly not going to be our night, and that's the last opportunity. But great camera angle of it there, isn't it? Just does enough, and if he's not there, I think Mienda's probably putting that past Trafford. And there's the second one. So from this angle, I didn't think there was any contact. You see, it looks like Dennis has lost his foot in there, and he's gone down looking for it. But this one, I think you can clearly see it. Fullback dives in, and then as Dennis goes to put his foot down, he's not on the ball, and he just takes Dennis's standing leg. And I believe Sky commentators were shocked it was given. I'm shocked. I'm shocked they've actually said that. I think it's a clear-cut penalty, and then credit to Wilson. He wants to take it. I know people are going to say, well, somebody else has got to take it. He's missed one. I get that, but listen, if the keeper goes the other way, he tucks that away. Nobody's mentioning it. It's unfortunate for him. Trafford goes the same way again. I don't think it's a bad penalty again either. He's caught it quite flush. It's going in the bottom corner. Credit to the keeper. It's a good save. But from our point of view, it's one of them, isn't it? Getting back on the bus, as we say, with a point. So the lads would have been, down, getting back on there, thinking we've got a 2 penalty. We've had a couple of good opportunities as well. We've defended really well, limited them to very little in front of goal. But it was just a point.
Absolutely, and 4 days later, Sunderland are trying to go one better here against Derby. We're just going to go to a break now. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back discussing more of Sunderland and Derby County very shortly. Welcome back to SAFC Live, the pre-match show from Derby County against Sunderland. Now, Danny, we spoke a little bit about Sunderland before the break. Moving on to Derby, the home side, they come into the game having lost their last 5 in all competitions, 4 in the league, and sandwiched in between that was an FA Cup exit at the hands of League One Leyton Orient. So it's not been a great build-up for them heading into this game, but they make 3 changes tonight. What do you make to what Derby can provide for their fans tonight?
Yeah, well, it's going to be flat in the stadium, I'd imagine. As you mentioned there, 2 wins in the last 14, lost the last 5, so confidence is naturally going to be low. But they'll want a good start, really. As you say, he's made 3 changes this evening. 2 of those are forced, I'm guessing. Certainly Nelson at centre-back, the experience there, but they're an experienced side, oldest squad in the league. And Marcus Harness coming in top end. Again, we'll have to look at them. Generally, he sets up in a 4-2-3-1. But with Harness coming in, he might tweak it a little bit and move Jackson through the middle with Jerry Yates. But yeah, look, in terms of that, they got goals. They're 12th in terms of goals, so they've been scoring. Obviously, conceding too many has been their problem as well. Conceding a lot of late goals as well. 12 in the last 15 minutes of games. So they need to tighten up, obviously, at that end. But I think they have got a goal in them, and throughout the team, really, a lot of the team have chipped in. Centre-backs have chipped in. Wilson, the full-back's got a couple as well. But yeah, just thinking back to the game earlier at the stadium, I like they actually started quite well that night as well. Obviously, we came out on top and picked up the 3 points. So I think from our point of view, start the game bright if we can, create some opportunities, quieten the crowd down. They'll be thinking, oh no, here we go again. And yeah, on paper, as I said there, obviously football's not played on paper, but if we can get off to a good start, you would fancy us to go on and win the game.
Yeah, we'll take a look at we'll take a closer look at the Rams team that Paul Warner's named, and with Derby County, a little bit unpredictable. They've slipped from mid-table to now hovering just above the relegation zone. But as you say, oldest squad in the league on average. They've got a lot of experience in there, haven't they? Well, yeah, a lot of people say that we were lacking experience. Youngest squad against the oldest tonight, isn't it? Yeah, and people have said that in terms of us, you know, we're young, we need a bit of experience in there. Obviously, the likes of Alan Brown come in. Alan's been injured for a fair few weeks as well now, hasn't he? So you're looking at, you know, perhaps Luke O'Nien and Patrick Roberts as a couple of your experienced boys in there, and Chris Metman in terms of Premier League experience. Whereas you look through their team, a lot of the boys out there tonight, you've got, you know, Jerry Yates, 28, Jackson's 30 now, Ben Osborne has dropped to the bench now, 30, Mendes Lang, 32. So that front line, really, they've got lads in and around 30 years of age. At the back, Elder, 29. So there's experience in there. There are 1 or 2 young lads in there as well. But yeah, certainly, you know, you fancy experience to try and pull you through. But, you know, I've played it obviously at Pride Park a few times, and it can get a little bit hostile. Certainly on my Forest days, so that was a derby. So, but yeah, it'll get hostile. And as I say, if they don't start well, and if we're having a lot of the ball, we're creating opportunities, the fans are going to let them know about it. So it could be a long evening for them. But the likes of Jerry Yates, I think Jerry is a good player at this level. He's had a few clubs. He was at obviously Blackpool, Swansea. What's he got now? He's got 6 goals so far this season as well. So he'll obviously be looking to add to that. But supply line's key for them at the top end. And with Harness coming in, Mendes Lang, they've got to try and get them on the ball in wide areas, and Caden Jackson as well. Certainly at home, Derby have won more than they've lost. So if you're Paul Warne now, are you approaching a game against promotion challengers going gung-ho and trying to catch them out and impose a marker as the home side? Or are you going to try and soak up the pressure from Sunderland that's inevitable with the attacking players we've got out there and try and hit on the break?
Yeah, I think he'll weigh it up and think, well, Sunderland, they like to have a lot of the ball this evening. They'll expect us to try and dictate play and maybe play a little bit of a counter-attacking game. I said it there, they've got a bit of pace. Mendes Lang, yes, they're 30-odd now, but both him and Caden Jackson can shift on the counter-attack. Harness coming into that as well. So, yeah, they might have to soak it up, probably drop into a 4-5-1 out of possession, try and make it difficult for us to play through them, and then obviously when they get the ball, it's what they can do out on the counter then, when maybe Dennis is high and Trey on the other side as well. Those little pockets of space, we've seen it at Turf Moor Friday night. We almost got caught out early on, those little balls down the channel causing us problems as well. So they'll probably have had a look at that game. How can we try and hurt Sunderland? But on the flip side of that, they're going to be aware of the pace of Isidore and Meander coming to the starting lineup as well, and they'll be aware. And obviously at the heart of their defence, they've had to make a couple of changes as well.
You did allude to the reverse fixture, which was back in early October. Sunderland won 2-0. Joe Bellingham with a fantastic strike, and then after half-time, Wilson Isidore scored his first home goal for the club, and what a reception he got for that as well. In terms of that, you said Derby started that game well. Could you see any potential similarities early on in this game about how Derby can start the game and perhaps take their chances this time?
Yeah, I mean, every manager will say that, won't they, really? You know, you've got to try and get the crowd up there. As you say, it's been poor form, really, hasn't it, in recent weeks, certainly at home as well. Get the fans on side early. How can we do that? I remember the Wilson, the full-back, he was bombing on early. He can get up and down that flank. I think he was up against maybe Romain Mundle that evening. So I think he'd come into the side to try and sort of take care of Romain up and down that flank as well. But he'll be an outlet for them. But on the flip side of that, I've said about us having the possession and looking to hurt them generally with the build-up. But if the counter opportunities in terms of when we nick it around the halfway line or the fullbacks are high up, then we've got those little pockets of space. But it's going to be interesting because you look, unless Mienda's going to play out there, we haven't naturally got a winger out there. If Chris Rigg is asked to play on the right and Lefay on the left, they're not natural wingers. They want to come inside and link up play, really. So it's going to be interesting how we set up. I think we look at Derby and not sure how they're going about it with Harness coming in. But from our point of view, is he going to play Mienda through the top, up there alongside Isidore, where up against two fresh centre-back pairing coming in for them tonight as well. So there could be opportunities there. But who's going to be giving us the supply line from the wings? Finally
on Derby, Sunderland in general have a decent record against newly promoted sides. Derby came up automatically from League One last season alongside Portsmouth. Oxford then came up in the playoffs. We've beaten Portsmouth home and away this season. We've beaten Derby at home. Is that a good omen, or is it really, once you're in the Championship, you're going to have all kinds of different challenges?
Yeah, well, we lost to Plymouth as well, didn't we, away, so they came up. Yeah, listen, it happens. Yeah, I know what you're saying. Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, I mean, you look at Ipswich, prime example last season. I think they beat us first game of the season, didn't they? And they didn't do too bad at the end of that as well. So generally, you'd expect one or two to struggle. You see it obviously with the Premier League now. Teams are going up, and obviously the three that have gone up there are obviously struggling as well. But no, I don't see it as that. You go on form throughout the season. Some lads will take to the Championship, obviously, and you grow in confidence if you're getting results as well. But on the flip side of that, the team's struggling down the other end. Portsmouth are a strange one. You look at 1 week, they've had a couple of results where they've won 3 and 4, and then they go and get spanked a couple of weeks after. Even the game here the other week, played 10 men, didn't they? Marlon Pack got sent off, finished the game strong, and we beat them 1-0 in the end, hanging on a little bit towards the end, and that's so. No, I think you've got to, obviously you go into the league above, it's going to be a test. You try and build your squad and add and try and strengthen as best you can with your finances, and then obviously you're trying to get some of the younger boys into the squad as well. You look how that's worked with us, getting some of the younger boys in. Perhaps at the start of this season, from where we tailed off last year, you wouldn't have thought, I certainly did, and most Sunderland fans would agree, you perhaps wouldn't have expected us to be in this position. But we are now on merit. We're 27 games into the season, so we're a long way into it now. We're there on merit, and hopefully we can kick on.
For those who tuned in late, we'll tune in again to the Sunderland side. Régis Le Bris has made one change to his lineup from the draw at Burnley. Patrick Roberts comes out for Eliza Mayenda. And Danny, we spoke briefly at the start about the Sunderland team selection, and there could be that sort of positives to take from Burnley, but also the inclusion of Mayenda, who's made an impact this season, hasn't he?
Well, he has, yeah. I mean, listen, he's 19, he's raw, he's got pace. I think he always makes things happen when he's on the ball. Sometimes it doesn't come off. But prime example, the other night at Burnley, first touch involved, lovely little threaded ball in, and we obviously get the penalty from it. It was the goal against Portsmouth, actually, wasn't it? He played Isidore in, lovely little build-up play. Dan Neil steals it off the throw-in into Mayenda. So within 2 passes, we're behind their back line, and you've got to use the pace. And again, I keep harping on about it, and probably the fans are sick of listening to me saying it, but we've got to play in behind teams more, especially a lot of teams now when they want to squeeze up and play a high back line. When you've got 2 flies at the top end of the pitch, use it to your advantage. Don't come towards the ball all the time. Pop a little ball in behind. And again, I just said it there, new centre-backs coming in this evening for them as well. There'll be a little bit edgy coming into a side who are obviously struggling for form. And if we do go with the 2 of them up against them, almost a 2v2 at times, you've got to back that out, lads. The pace between them, and obviously the skill as well of Isidore and Mayenda is sharp over 5-10 yards. If Job's getting on the ball and Chrissy Rigg, Dan Neil, just thread those little balls in behind, give them a little bit of space, then that back line naturally are going to drop off because the fear will come into them. Poof, I don't want these 2 running in behind me every 2 minutes, so I'm going to just drop off. Then you're going to get your little pockets of space to play into.
We'll have a little look at the league table as well, because we mentioned at the start that the title race and the promotion race is really hotting up. There seems to have been a bit of a group of 4 that have peeled away. Sunderland very much part of that. 5 points adrift of Leeds at the top, but it's just us and Sheffield United out of those 4 who played tonight. Chance to take advantage, Danny.
Exactly that. Yeah, as you say there, with Burnley, chance for us to go above them. Psychologically, they can look at it and think, oof. We were fortunate to come out the other night with a point against them in the end, and then they've just jumped above us. If we pick up the points this evening, you've still got to look, what was it, 9 points there down to Blackburn as well, haven't you? And Blackburn play this evening as well. Then West Brom and Middlesbrough, a draw would perhaps be ideal for us, keeping them at arm's length really. But yeah, you're looking at us there, and how it's been for the last few weeks, really. Just clutching onto those 3 sides above us who people would have expected them to be up there this season. Us are obviously the surprise package. We don't mind that from our point of view. Go under the radar a little bit, but we're still right in amongst it, and we've got to keep churning the results out. It's a good fixture tonight. Obviously at the weekend it's Plymouth here, isn't it, as well? So we owe them one after they picked up the 3 points down at home park earlier in the season. But you've got to keep taking it as, it's a game at a time. It's the old cliche, you ask a manager, next game, no, I'm not focusing down the line, it's the next game. And it is that. Games are thick and fast. Obviously, you had your game Friday, now you're on to your midweeker. That's 2 away games. We finished the week obviously coming up with Plymouth on Saturday at home, so it's a point at Turf Moor. If you go and get 3 tonight, that's 4, and then you're probably looking at a 7-point week really, so it's not a bad return at all.
We'll take a look at the bottom half of the Championship as well and have a look at what Derby County are playing for tonight. Now, without a point in the league since Boxing Day, and now they're just 1 solitary point above the drop zone. How massive is tonight for them?
Well, it's tight, that, isn't it? You look at that there from Stoke, 28 points, 2 points separated, 6 sides, isn't it? It's tight, isn't it? You probably fear for Plymouth and think they're going to go down. I mean, the goal difference -30 as well counts as a point, doesn't it? So they're struggling. You probably think they're gone unless they get on a dramatic run. But then you're going all the way up to even Millwall and Preston. Obviously, you don't know how sides are going to. Still, a fair few games to go, isn't it? Almost 18 games or so to go. So they just, like the other teams, they need to get a little bit of a run going, a little bit of form going, and try and get themselves out of it. And 2 or 3 wins on the bounce, look where that can take them, really, sort of up into that pack with the likes of Coventry and Oxford, really. You'd say Oxford up are probably going to be safe, I would say, and suggest, really. And then the other teams, I just mentioned Portsmouth there, they're sat 3rd from bottom. And one week they seem to go out and spank someone 3 or 4, and then the week after they're getting turned over, aren't they? So it's just a bit of consistency. Hull have just pulled it round a little bit as well. They're trying to get out of it. Nobody perhaps would have expected them to be down there this season. But they are, The table doesn't obviously lie at this stage in the season, does it? So, we said about ourselves on merit, we're there now. We've played everyone, more than held our own against anybody as well. From Derby side, they would have come up, and then they're thinking, consolidate this year, make sure we stay up, and then you're looking to build from there.
Yeah, never is there more an unpredictable league. A coupon in the Championship is a coupon loss, that's for sure. So, it's again unpredictable tonight, but Sunderland will certainly go into the game as favourites, but they seem to thrive off that pressure and just have that young, fearless mentality, don't they?
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, it can go 2 ways, can't it? Especially at the Stadium of Light. You see it sometimes if results aren't going and the crowd get a little bit restless, but I think they play with a lack of, there's no fear in there from the boys. Chris Rigg, it reminds me of like a young lad still out on the playground having a kick around with his mates. He loves it. He's got those little pirouettes, you see little nutmegs and the skills he brings to it. And obviously Job coming in there. You look at the 3 in midfield, and Dan Neal's the senior one, and Dan's 22 maybe, 22, 23. 23. So it's a young squad. We've mentioned they're the youngest in the league, but they're just enjoying it. You can see they enjoy their football, and I think that shows, and obviously the rapport they've got with the fans as well. And the position we're in, and they'll be confident. They've seen everyone like us. They won't go and play with the fear. We've got Leeds obviously coming up, Ellen Road. That'll be a massive game, but going to that one, you know what Leeds are all about. Full on frantic energy. They will give you opportunities on the counter attack as well. So I expect that to be a good game when that one comes around as well.
Of course, we'll go to a break soon, but you mentioned Chris Rigg there and also Dennis Serkin. Both of them hit milestones against Burnley in their appearances. Riggy got to 50 and Dennis got to 100. I mean, for their ages, especially for Chris Rigg, that is absolutely incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, it's mad, and the driving test as well, wasn't it? Past that as well. So
well done, Chris.
It's been a good week for him. Yeah, I think he got himself a couple of early goals, didn't he, earlier in the season? He's going to be looking to add to that now as well. I think just looking around our midfield, I think Joe at this stage last season was up nearly in double figures. Wilson's top scorer, he's got 8 or 9, hasn't he, Wilson? So we haven't got anybody in there. Few have been chipping in, but I think between now and the end of the season, a couple more goals and assists, because you look at that midfield area. Lefay will be pushing to get into that midfield. You've got Alexic, he'll be frustrated. He'll want a little bit more game time. Alan Brown, I'm not sure how far Alan is away, but he'll be looking. So we've got good options in the middle of the park. And if you want to stay in there, you've got to be obviously contributing and chipping in. Same with Patrick, I would say, on that right-hand side. For Patrick's ability, his figures and his numbers don't stack up quite as much as they should, really. If he's got 2 goals this season, 1 being a penalty. He's got himself a few assists, but for Patrick's ability, he's got to be doing it more regularly. He should be, for me, getting up to double figures, Patrick, throughout the season.
And we will see how that one turns out, Derby and Sunderland. We'll also say goodbye to our YouTube viewers. Of course, we've got to go off air on screen now, but kick-off in 15 minutes is available to listen through audio here on SAFC Live.